Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a new video. So what we are going to be talking about tonight, it's a little discussion on the 2022 STI. Now, we all know what the new 2022 WRX looks like. We know all the numbers, all the specs and everything. And, kind of what's floating around the internet is basically everyone's very disappointed in the 3 horsepower gain and just the overall look, as well as the interior. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of things to be said about it. But the way that I'm looking at it is that it really leaves the door open for the new 2022 STI. And what I mean by that is, in another video, I actually mentioned that I really wanted to see the WRX and the STI have a bigger gap. And what I mean by that is not just the power. Obviously, there is a pretty decent power jump from the WRX to the STI in the current generation. But I really wanted something different exterior-wise. I wanted an STI to really stand out and be almost completely different than a WRX. The current generation, this generation, the V8 chassis, we all know that the WRX and the STI look very similar. It has the same bumpers, it has the same mirrors, it has the same hood. Everything is exactly the same. Of course, there is some differences, like the giant wing in the back, the brakes, obviously the STI logos and stuff, and of course the motor. But overall, the look of it is very similar. When I'm driving this and I see, a car coming down the road, I'm like, oh, it's an STI. And it pulls up next to me and it's a WRX. Besides the wing, there's really no big difference that the STI and WRX are different, cosmetically on the outside. You can even option the STI without the wing. You can get just the lip. So that alone just makes it, even harder to distinguish an STI. So for me, seeing the WRX and seeing all the plastic cladding and the, questionable rear bumper and all that, it really, I started thinking about it differently than most people. I started looking at it as, wow, this is a great opportunity for the STI to really take that giant step and really make it different looking, make it, an STI, make it something super aggressive and really stand out from, the basic WRX. And that is a point that I made in a previous video. I really wanted to see that jump. Obviously it's going to be a big jump in power between the two models, but seeing the places where they can actually improve on in the STI from the WRX really has me kind of in high hopes. I would love to see some wider fenders. I would love to see, a more aggressive front bumper. Obviously the wing is going to be on there, so that's obviously a big difference between the two. But I really want to see something more aggressive. I want to see something with really wide hips, with something that just looks menacing coming down the road. One of the cars that I always think of that just looks so good coming down the road is an M3 from pretty much any generation. There is no denying when an M3 comes down the road and you see it in your rearview mirror, 100% that is an M3. It doesn't matter if it's an E30 or all the way up to the current G80. That is an M3. And like I said, the WRX and STI, you really can't tell. Not that that's a bad thing, but the STI is really that flagship car. It's their halo car. This is where all the racing heritage is from. This is the car. This is Subaru's, I don't mean to repeat myself, but this is their halo car. This is it. This is all their racing heritage put into one street, daily driven car that you can purchase off their lot. So making something super aggressive and really stand out from the crowd, I think is really warranted. So for the past couple years, I would say, there has been a lot of speculation about what the STI's power is going to be like. Now, we all know currently, or at least in my generation, it was 305. It's been 305 for, 20 years now. And they recently, in the 2018, they bumped it up to 310. There wasn't many changes that happened when they did the refresh, but it was a little bump in power. So let's just say it's at 310 currently. To me, I always thought, if they're really going to make a new STI and they're going to put a new motor in it, it really needs to have a serious jump in power. Now, we all know the WRX, the 2022, has the 3 horsepower gain at 271 horsepower. It is still plenty for the street to have a good time, and it's a lot of low-end torque. So there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, I think we were all hoping for a little bit more. It would have been really nice at the 290 mark, I think, kind of competing with the Golf R and kind of that segment. But they got 271. So I guarantee you that motor, when you start modifying it and the aftermarket starts getting their hands on it, it's going to be a beast, and it's going to be really easy to get over 300 horsepower. Yes, I know from the factory, it should definitely be more. I definitely agree. But that is where the STI separates itself. To me, I really think the STI should have that giant power gap. You know, you're paying more for a car, so you're going to pay for more performance. That's basically what you're paying for. And that is what I'm here to talk about, because I have a secret source. Somebody reached out to me and I've been talking and everything. There's actually a magazine clipping from a magazine in Japan of actually showing a render of what the STI, what I personally think is actually going to be. And if you look in the actual text of the article, it's all in Japanese, so I'm not fluent in Japanese, but it has the number 395 horsepower. So take that with a grain of salt, but honestly, that number, that 395 number, has been sticking around for a long time now. You know, usually at this point, when there's speculation about a new car coming out and the power and everything, it kind of fades away, and as people start to get actual information, it kind of, maybe goes down a little bit, maybe goes up. To be honest, I was expecting 350, maybe like 360 or something like that, which honestly would have been great. But that 395, 400 number is sticking around. And that is a good sign. I mean, at this point, we're basically a year away from the car debuting and, being on the road. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Probably a little bit sooner, to be honest. In my mind, I'm guessing around early summer is when we're going to start seeing stuff. Hopefully a little bit sooner. The numbers and specs of new cars around this point, they really start to kind of come out. And that, like I said, that number, that 395, 400 number is sticking around. So, obviously I wouldn't say hold your breath, but to me, that is what this car needs. 400 horsepower from an STI factory with warranty. That honestly is a game changer, because we've been waiting for pretty much 20 years for a new motor and some really, really decent power. Now, we all know that the new motor is going to be the FA24 from the Ascent. So honestly, I was kind of shocked to really see that. I thought by now we would start seeing the number kind of dip down a little bit and start getting a little bit more real. But everywhere I look and everything that I've ever seen, or anybody that has talked to me about it or whatever, it's still sticking around that 400 mark. So I'm not saying that's definitely what it's going to be, but it's getting close. And honestly, it's kind of getting me a little bit excited to hear that, because like I said, that is what this car needs, especially after all this time and waiting. It really does need that giant jump from where we are currently in the current STI. So one of the questions that I get pretty much on the daily is, hey, I'm interested in an STI. I love yours. It's great and everything. Do you like it? And then they always ask, I know the new one's coming out. Should I buy a current generation, or should I go and wait for the new 2022? Now, that is very hard for me to answer, obviously, because everybody's different. I can't go and tell you, oh, hey, you should do this or that. But I'll voice my opinion. I'll explain to you exactly what I tell everybody. And that is simply, hey, if you love the STI, if you love everything that we've ever known about an STI and the racing heritage and the sound of it and just, the all-wheel drive and everything about it, go ahead and buy a current gen. Honestly, this car is fantastic. Honestly, it is the best handling and best overall package STI that has ever come out, especially 2021. It has the best motor. It has all the updates from this current gen. It is the best version of the STI ever. Granted, that's very subjective. Some people say older gens are better or whatever. But honestly, in the whole package, this current gen is the best of the best. This is the best STI that they've ever made. So honestly, if you love Subaru for what a Subaru is and an STI, go ahead, pick one up. They hold value extremely, extremely well. This is a 2017 with 35,000 miles on it. And to this day, I can sell this car for exactly what I paid for it, which is wild. People still want these. They're always in demand. People are always buying them used. And they just hold value very, very well. So even if you are interested in picking up the new gen, the 2022, you can even pick one of these up now, enjoy it for a year or two, and then sell it off. Sell it privately, make a few bucks, use that as a down payment for a new 2022. or 2023, whatever. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. Honestly, that is probably the best route to go because you'll get the best of both worlds. You get to experience the current gen and kind of see where STI has come and gone and where it is currently. And then now seeing where it's going to go and what it's all about. It'll give you a good perspective of all the changes and just what the new car is all about. But if you have patience and you want to wait it out, there's nothing wrong with that as well. Honestly, for what is being said around the internet and kind of what is being secretly shared, the 2022 STI with 395 horsepower, that is no joke, honestly, and I don't blame you for waiting. We all know that I love this car. This has been the longest car I've ever owned. I've enjoyed it immensely, and I have been thinking about selling it. And in my mind, I was like, all right, you know, after I sell this, this is probably the last Subaru or STI that I'm going to own for at least a very long time. But now, after seeing that number and kind of seeing the render and the picture in the magazine, it's a pretty promising car, honestly. And it got me thinking. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll hang on to this a little bit longer. Let me kind of wait it out and see what's going on. So, you know, it even got me thinking because honestly, I was thinking this was going to be my last STI for a while at least. And after seeing that and seeing the numbers that are kind of floating around there, you know, it got me thinking because 400 horsepower and an STI stock with warranty is pretty awesome. You got 4 doors, all-wheel drive, hopefully a manual transmission, which I'm pretty sure is going to be an option. Hopefully it's the only option because we all know the CVT, that they don't call it anymore, is terrible. So I'm really hoping that they just stick to the manual because that is all this car needs. But either way, it got me thinking. It got me saying like, hey, I might hang on to this for a little while longer and see what the 22 is all about. You know, if it's really what they're saying it's going to be, you know, that's you know, that's a car that I wouldn't mind owning. So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think you're going to wait it out, hang on to your current one, or buy a current generation, or wait it out for the new 2022? Obviously, like I said, this is all speculation. This is all, you know, just hearsay and kind of things that have been shared with me and, you know, talked about. But like I said, that number is sticking around, and a lot of the things that were wrong with the WRX seem to be fixed on that picture in that magazine. So I'm really curious. It got my attention, and I think it's going to get a lot of people's attention. And to be honest, if it is exactly that, and with that exact horsepower number, it is going to sell like crazy. I'm telling you, it doesn't matter what the price is going to be. And to be honest, I actually hope it is a little bit more expensive because that alone is just telling us that it is a better overall built car. You know, that's just what it takes. You know, if you're going to build a better car, it's going to cost more money. They can't build a better car, you know, and price it the exact same that it is. But if it's starting at like 40, 41, 42, I wouldn't be surprised because honestly, if it is what that article is saying and kind of what is speculating, you know, that's just, I have no problem with that. And I'm sure most people that want an STI and that have the finances and the ability to do it are not going to have a problem with that at all as well. So let me know what you guys think. You're going to buy a current gen? You're going to wait for the new 2022? For me, I'm hanging on to mine for a little bit now, seeing what happens. And I'm really hoping all that speculation comes true because that is what the STI needs. We need that 400 horsepower. We need something to completely blow all the competition out of the water and just make it the best 4-cylinder, manual, 4-door, all-wheel drive car out there. That is all I got for you guys. Again, this is just my opinion. Don't rag on me too much. This is just, you know, what I've heard and kind of what I've seen. So take it for what it's worth. I would love to hear what you guys think below and what you think is going to happen with the new 2022. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions at all, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple, and I'll catch you in the next one.